yeah, we're finally getting a civilization that's not sniped compared to the previous sets. Malians gets to see the field here.
Yeah, it looks like, and I've heard him talking about this before. MarineLorD considers Byzantines a bigger threat than Malians, and Wham certainly knows how to play them. We've seen some crazy well-played Byzantine games from him. But MarineLorD instead opts to go up against the Malians here, and has Delhi to do it. And this has been such a back-and-forth matchup historically. It feels like every patch it favors one side over the other. There's some really fine margins to consider here when it comes to fights, timings, age-up timings especially. So very excited to see how this one will go. I mean, there's so many avenues that it can go down. Both civs have plenty of options. We've seen all-ins from Delhi, we've seen castle age timings, we've seen imp timings. Marines as well, we've seen heavy feudal play with Sofa, Archer, with Donzo, Javelin, mixing those two together. My prediction's as good as anyone's here.
Depends on the season, but also we've seen MarineLorD make most things work, whether the decision is one way or the other. I just remember those death balls of 60 plus archers on Delhi, Tower of Victory, and I realized I'm okay with the Dome of the Faith recently and the playstyle that Delhi has. I feel like Delhi is a civ that is in such a good spot in competitive play where they are an answer to civilizations that have been dominant. So we'll see if the Malians do get shut down, because a lot of players right now, they're saying that Malians is just a bit too strong and the answers they have are just too versatile, at least for the first 25 minutes of the game. So we'll see if Delhi is able to actually shut down the type of aggression that we do see coming out of Malians, especially in the early game. Now, usually they want to be greedy and go for a little bit of a cow boom, but only if they are allowed to. And Delhi, they have the ability to say, no, no, no. So let's see if MarineLorD is the man who's going to be able to shut down this Malian player, Wham, and take his brother then in the next round. So, ladies and gentlemen, the most standard of all the maps, Dry Arabia.
Here we are indeed, seeing two exquisite players about to battle it out. For everything on the line almost. MarineLorD, the one and only, in the color yellow, as the Delhi Sultanate representing gentlemates, facing Wham in the color red as the Malians. One of the stars of Canada here, looking to put a stopper to seed number 1 of the entire tournament here, the former MarineLorD. Standard openings here from both sides so far. Nothing too crazy to be expected in this matchup right at the beginning. Of course, Malians can often be susceptible to Dark Age, but Delhi typically is something that is not a strategy they ever really go towards. Extremely rarely have we seen that, and it's been a long time since we have seen it for that matter. We'd have a side pit mine here for Wham in front of the wood line, the second one in the north. So when this goes together, it can be a little bit tricky when it comes to heavy committal from Delhi.
That's exactly what I was about to ask about. We see, usually with the spawns being so close to one another, you know exactly the type of pressure you need to do to shut this down. Wham's backup gold is pretty far. We also see that he goes for a little bit of that extra wood to get that 7th house of wood to come on in, and that feels good for Malians. We've seen a few openings where Malians eventually invests into those early cows to just stay on top of whatever the opponent has on offer. But what usually dictates Malians' freedom in the early game is how much food they get, because of course this is a civilization that is very hungry in response to anything that the opponent is doing, especially not in the early game when you want to be spending your gold on, you know, getting upgrades, etc. But Malians, they eat through those sheep pretty quickly, especially when the sofa production starts coming in as well. So I'd love to take a little look at the sheep. Looking pretty decent here. Gonna be a even enough split between the two, which means that MarineLorD is going to be able to stay in his base when the raining begins from Marlians themselves. Dome of the Faith is chosen, and Dome of the Faith just means lots of scholars all the time. Mansa Quarry, pretty standard A-drop here for Marlians as well. He is going to be just enjoying a good old early game Marlians that gets gold for free, even when those pit mines get shut down.
Yes, the heavier investment into that one additional house around the pit mine will give plentiful early gold here for WAM. We can see already 100 per minute completely passively here for WAM's Marlians. Plenty of ways to use that gold, like you mentioned. Early upgrades, historically a very common choice nowadays, though. An early ranch with 3 cows can give a great food buffer to sustain early sulfur production. Now, there's few civilizations better able to answer that than Delhi with their early Ghazi Raider pump, and the additional +2 damage against heavy units, which sulfur indeed are, is going to prove very useful here for MarineLorD. However, the sulfur still armored cavalry at the end of the day, which the Ghazi are not. They will always win the 1v1. And they have an additional +2 damage themselves, but up against infantry, so that can often mean that spears, although a direct counter to sulfurs of course, end up dying a bit faster than you would expect in a lot of situations, so MarineLorD will have to be very careful with that one. Of course, that applies to his archers as well, which will most likely be needed at some point too. It is going to be an early wheelbarrow actually here for WAM.
Now, getting that early wheelbarrow feels great as the Marlians, especially when you're up against the Delhi that just loves having Ghazis everywhere and ensuring that you do not get to go out. It just ensures that your units are a little bit more survivable as they can run a little bit further away. With the one villager being out there on berries, he's usually a pretty easy target to get a little bit of a donk here and there on the head. So WAM now spending that gold just means that he's not going to be able to get those early cows, but with the amount of sheep he got, he doesn't need that. Double broadaxe also getting chosen, which it means he just wants to get every upgrade he can and stay onto the sheep for a little while.
Yes, this is the classic Marlians opening we see here. Normally the lean into the javelins and the donzos is a great segue from this early economic investment. Passive gold is so useful for the Marlians in this position, and that seems to be on the cards as the barracks is the first production building of choice. As I say that though, he decides to place it a couple of inches more towards the left. Surprising really, because this means that there's actually no space for a ranch behind that Mansa quarry, but might not have wanted to block the space for the mining camp or an additional house for that matter. That's definitely the case. Meanwhile, the stable is already out for MarineLorD. Archery range follow-up for him as well. Now, interestingly, there's no scholars garrison inside the production building, so that improved military production is not going to be on the cards for MarineLorD just yet. Of course, it can be hard to keep up the Ghazi pump initially with a scholar. MarineLorD knowing this and instead wants to get a faster timing on his upgrades instead. As the first Ghazi raid, however, does arrive and pushes the villager away before the second pit mine can be fully completed here. The archers are soon to follow as well.
So with the archer follow-up, this means that WAM needs to respond, and he doesn't get to just go out and send those villagers out as he pleases. He needs to get those javelins out pretty quickly. Now the donzos are quite nice because, of course, they do get to throw a spear every now and again. The problem is just with the amount of scholars coming out of Delhi, usually this just means temporary damage. Now, aside from that, with that one villager being pushed off, it means the houses don't all get up. And you want to get every bit of gold you can, but luckily this just means his cows are going to get delayed, luckily for MarineLorD at least. He's got one cow already out, and that is okay, especially with the food he's got for now, but he needs to start ramping that up, especially with sofas being added to the mix too. He needs a lot more gold, and I don't know how long he's going to be having access to this.
Exactly, because the pressure from MarineLorD is mounting very quickly here, and Sanctity exactly at this very moment has finished, and already we see MarineLorD, of course, missing no opportunity. The site capture is already underway. The pit mine, the second one, now already halfway dead towards burning. Second and third sacred site now being captured. There is a scout, probably a warrior scout by now, on that southern sacred side. He's going to start pushing away that scholar. Sofa as well as Donzo's on the center side, looking to cut off reinforcements and block the capture at the same time. Sofa's and Donzo's is going to be the composition of choice initially here for Wham. A great choice up against the Delhi here. The food might become an issue sooner than Wham thinks. Reinforcements are met as the archer one falls. The Donzo is just going to barely get away, but the archers meet them. The Donzos are falling fast.
Now, those Donzos, they're expensive. And not just because they're dying to archers, right? But also, just to keep that production going, he needs the food that he does not have. They're such an expensive unit to constantly be making when you are already struggling. 3 cows in the pen, that's great, but that's not going to be able to sustain Donzo production. And again, he's got that pressure everywhere. MarineLorD is still pushing out with those Ghazis. He's able to be out on the map, and the gold is, again, just limited. He's got 6 Donzos, and if he invests more, they are just going to fall to all those archers in the army of MarineLorD. But the Sofa numbers, that is something I'm very excited about. You guys, you have played against Sofas. Everyone has struggled against a little Sofa raid there on the back line, and MarineLorD, he's suffered against this more than enough. Putting up those walls now is just going to ensure that he is not going to be struggling with this for too long.
Didn't even notice this beforehand, but just look at the MarineLorD spawn. How does he do it? Double back there, as well as berries, cozily protected by the 2 wood lines. Easy wars for MarineLorD. Meanwhile, Wham, double forward pit mine, double forward there. It's pretty unfortunate here for Wham in this game, and MarineLorD is going to look to take full advantage as the pressure only continues to mount here on top of Wham. Village is now pushed away from the gold mine. Wham just can't get any respite. Now looking to continue to set up the pit mine, but it's met by MarineLorD's military yet again. Now the southern sacred site is about to be contested and captured. There's no units there for Wham. He might look to peel off. Yeah, looks like 1 dot. Sofa is running there. Might get there in time to block it. At the same time, the northern side is also now being contested. And the raid did seep through, with no damage to be found. And these Sofas are trapped.
They are, and the problem is they don't actually get to do any damage on their way out. They're just going to get taken down. With these Ghazis, they're doing such a good job against this, and you just see them falling like flies. So the units from Wham, he's right now he looks a little bit cooked here. We can see with those spawn differences, it is an easy shutdown for MarineLorD, and he knows how to capitalize on this. He knows every bit of an opening he needs, and he understands his weaknesses as well, ensuring that it does not get exploited. With those walls, it is putting him in such a good spot. And now, even while producing non-stop, we can see that he is ready to almost think about castle, with the food starting to float and the gold also adding up with all those sacrifice sites just not being able to get shut down. Now, we have to keep in mind Wham has only 7 cows in the pens by now, and this is just not enough to deal with a soon-to-be Castle-Age Delhi. And sure, Delhi, they need a lot of time to get their upgrades once they do hit their Castle-Age, but you can see how hungry Wham is. That is a man with a bunch of villagers on a very limited amount of berries that he's trying to consume.
Very rarely do we see Marlins being so behind in food income as in this game number 1 here between Wham and MarineLorD. Of course, it is feudal age. There is no Fulani Corral to lean on just yet for Wham. A bit of a distant possibility here for him at this point in time, being forced to watch all of his fronts as he has to spread himself so thin with his military and his economy just to get what he needs to keep pumping units to contest in this feudal age. Behind his MarineLorD, looks like the pro scouts actually for him is not on the cards. There's still only 1 scout. I haven't seen it being queued up. It must have been finished by now, but there's no investment into it. It looks like he's just going to move out onto the day manually. A bit unusual nowadays, but he saves some food on those scouts, and every little counts at this point in time as the age up is creeping ever closer. Now it can be a dangerous time for MarineLorD here if he takes a bad fight. Of course, that's not something he does often, but Wham's mass is still just not there, is it? the investment into the sofa heavily slowed down the production on these archers and these donzos, and he's just not in a position to actually regain the mid-map control.
Now, getting into a spot where your opponent is going for castle and you know that you need to do damage, and this is going to be it for Wham. Wham needs to find a way to actually just pick off a few units, because the moment these upgrades are really going to hit, we know that it's going to be critical, but what's most important is it's going to force Wham to feel like, hey, I need to go for castle. And we've seen what happens to Malians the moment they go castle. It's always a little bit of a flood, because their opponent, being in castle himself already, he's just going to feel that confidence to engage on these very, very squishy units that he has. There are no sofas to act as a front line when those castle age units do hit, but now MarineLorD does make it all the way through, and we instantly see those upgrades being queued up. They will take a while, and MarineLorD is backing off in this moment. No more production coming out for Wham as he's going for Castle Age himself, and honestly, I think this was maybe the best timing for Wham to hit that himself, because his opponent is not going to be able to do enough or even get his upgrades landed by the time that he is going to be the vulnerable one.
Yes, it's a very impressive turnaround time here from Wham. Beautifully done, and very good read on MarineLorD's position in this game. Wham to go for this age up. The Deer, of course, helping out immensely. He was able to secure it with that outpost. We saw plenty of villagers go there, and of course, with the Deer comes great food, and is able to match the Fulani pretty quickly here. Relics are being picked up very aggressively, though, by MarineLorD already. 2 on the way, going to be home by now. Donzos were there to intercept that southern relic, but the extra health on the Scholar, the Warlord, means that he'll be able to get out scot-free. Wham, the upgrades are coming in. Veterancy on the Javelins, veterancy on the Donzos. Meanwhile, on MarineLorD's side... Wait a second, was that... Compound of the Defender?
That was Compound of the Defender, yes.
What am I seeing right now? We haven't seen this landmark in so long from Delhi here at the top level. MarineLorD, this might be genius, honestly, because typically if you don't have a strong timing here as the Delhi to just finish Malians outright in that early castle age with the upgrades from the House of Learning, then of course it's not going to do too much for you after that on if you're just severely behind in army anyway. But the compound, of course, cheaper cost on emplacements as well as keeps here for MarineLorD, but there's no stone gathering. Instead, he's actually going to try to force a timing here as he goes directly towards Wham's base, but the mass isn't really there for MarineLorD. The archers, so many went down very quickly to the javelins, and Wham starting to take the driver's seat here.
We always criticize the fact that Malians needs a lot of micro, especially when you get to these numbers of javelin throwers. But Wham laughs at the face of casters who dare point that out and just micros them perfectly to ensure that he gets every hit he can. But for the rest of Twitch chat that might just be confused as to why we're so surprised at Compound of the Defender, why do you think, what is the difference between the two in terms of playstyle going forward?
House of Learning relies all on getting the technologies, boosting your economy with the villager tech, your army with the, what's it called? I forget the name of the upgrade that gives extra damage to lancers as well as the men-at-arms. There's a few other good ones for the elephants there as well. Honed Blades is the name. Thank you very much, Vodka, for that one. But the compound, on the other hand, with the keeps, is going to lean heavily to a defensive playstyle, but it seems like MarineLorD just doesn't care about the intended use of his landmark, as he's going to look to attack directly. Plenty of lancers here. The upgrades are in as well for him. The blacksmith, level 2 damage is going to prove very useful here, but Wham is not far behind. He has his own ranged armor in the secondary tier, and his own steel arrow coming in as well. It's a big exchange of blows, but neither side really wanting to commit too heavily in this position. You can see, this is what we're talking about, right? The cows are online, the Fulani is online, and food is becoming very low here for MarineLorD. And at this point, Wham is doubling him up.
Yeah, that Fulani for now is still a half Lani, but it's still providing a lot of food for Wham to constantly reinforce this army. And even though it might look like, hey, MarineLorD is ahead every time he takes an engagement, why is he losing these fights? It's because a lot of the army is just sitting in his base, getting the upgrades faster. They are counted. When your religious units are counted as your army, it does feel like, wow, Delhi is in such a good spot. But right now, Malians has got him exactly where he needs to be. I did see one of those cows popping out of the pen just now being eaten by the villagers. So it doesn't mean that Wham is feeling 100% confident in his income, and he knows he needs to keep on producing. So the raids here, even just the old Ghazi raider trying to pick up a vill, it adds up, but the problem is those cows. The half Lani is ticking and it's doing a lot of work. So we call it a half Lani because there's only almost half of the cows full, so there's still a lot of income to be generated. But MarineLorD, he's just doubling down on these archers. And Myriad, with this army that we see from Wham, I don't know if archers are going to cut it against all those sofas.
Yeah, the Sofa, the premium unit here for the Malians in, well, both Castle Age and Imperial Age for that matter, except maybe the Musafadi gunner later on, but the Sofas, with the imported armor, an additional +2 armor, both melee and ranged, they will always just get pickled for 1 damage from these archers, so they're going to do a great job in tanking. Of course, the Lancers are stronger directly, 1 against 1. Cost-wise, the Sofa still actually win out, because these Lancers do not have the Honed Blades upgrade, so no Kilji sword for them here. But Wham, he knows his position. He knows he's ahead. He knows MarineLorD has very little food left. But he does get confirmation of a pretty scary looking army at the same time, and his forces are slower, so he cannot escape. Archers are microed onto the Donzo. The javelins focus firing the archers in turn as the front lines continue dancing back and forth. Neither side really wanting to commit. There's plenty of Donzo still here for Wham, so the cavalry from MarineLorD cannot commit fully without losing a lot of health. It seems like at this point the archers are going to be forced to tank to make space for the lancers to thin out the massive Donzo. Scholars are now also being pulled. The important upgrades for MarineLorD are in by now, and the Scholars are going to make the difference here in this fight on the defense here for MarineLorD. A desperately needed win in this fight here for MarineLorD as he looks to keep Wham's forces contained as the reinforcements come in. A battalion rejoins with the main army here from Wham. More archers, more Donzos. Poison arrows, I think, is in by now as well. The Sofa number continues to climb, and MarineLorD is not enough. He's pushed back. The Scholars, they are now forced to run as they heal. Well, actually, they can't heal as they run. They're not dervishes, but if they hold their ground, the army is lost, and MarineLorD suddenly heavily on the back foot.
And honestly, Wham coming out of this from a spawn that MarineLorD loved playing against. It feels like Wham is just able to hold on and push out at the right moment. For a while there, it looked like MarineLorD Scholars were going to be able to turn that fight. And the thing is, it's not over. MarineLorD is definitely going to try to get back with the village fortresses being in. He's going to be able to get more villages as time goes on. But the question is Wham going to give him any bit of breathing room now that he is knocking at the front of his base? And as I say that, I see him attacking that poor little archery range. And that archery range is going to be a was-were pretty soon, with all of these units going straight for it. But MarineLorD, he has prime units, and he's getting ready for that one big push that we're all waiting for as the Scholars are getting in position. The Lancers are chasing in, and Wham is just sniping as much as he can.
Not exactly the kind of position you want to have this many Lancers here from MarineLorD between the choke points of these buildings. The Scholar gets pulled for the relic. The Wololo comes in, forces Wham's army straight back and out of the production, opening the way for the Lancers in the open field as the Scholars heal behind this as well. The Donzo numbers, though, are very anemic here for Wham. There's a very strong backline, but is that enough to actually stem the tide of all these Lancers from MarineLorD? How does he have the food for this, Wham? And it's insane the amount of Lancers here from MarineLorD. How did this man do it? The archers keep coming and thin the Donzos as he dives in directly. There's no fear from MarineLorD here as he keeps trying to squeeze value from these Lancers. The healing is just so potent here for MarineLorD as Wham keeps getting pushed back. Now the stream is endless, however. The food income is massive from Wham. MarineLorD is starting to stabilize at this point in time. We did see a lot of stone being spent. There are at least 2 keeps, I believe, somewhere on the map from MarineLorD. I think one might be in that south side near that big stone. That is the case, and Compound of the Defender, of course, we do have Village Fortresses tech in, so every single keep MarineLorD makes is also a town center.
And this is going to feel good for a late game Delhi. Question is just, is this going to be able to be a late game Delhi? As Wham has certainly learned his lesson with his archer heavy composition and just adding more sofas. Now MarineLorD being a little bit closer to the reinforcement of these armies as they were under siege. It does bode well for MarineLorD in that moment, but the question is he going to be able to keep this up as Wham's food income is still just skyrocketing? We see the TC fire being utilized here against these archers, and honestly, it does look like MarineLorD's attack here could be deadly, but the sofa numbers are slightly different this time around. Now, Wham's still investing into more and more archers and getting his own religious units, probably just going to be trying to get one little relic that might be out of a building here, because MarineLorD, he has been snacking on those non-stop. But as Castle Age upgrades are all chosen by now, it starts to feel like MarineLorD is getting his peak of what he's going to be able to reach with his army, but still no investment into elephants as he's just focused on getting all these lances up and running. And those poison arrows are amazing, just not against Delhi.
Now, poison arrows, of course, they're gonna gain good value against armored units, but at the end of the day, of course, they are still just archers. The damage isn't that there, and these lancer numbers again are looking very scary there for MarineLorD. But the archer count is a bit low in comparison to Wham's. And the Donzos, although they are even to Lancers, you need more Donzos than Lancers normally for the fight to be good. Triple relic on the Dome of the Faith for MarineLorD as he pushes away Wham's army yet again, opening the way for the Lancers this time around as well. He's gonna look to retreat. He sees the mass. It's just way too much. It's way too much for his army to handle as he looks to dive behind the DC for additional protection. More relics are being pulled for additional warlords if need be, as this is the stash from MarineLorD. He makes to look his last stand in this game potentially. Wham smells blood in the water as he goes deeper. The Lancers are pinned down on the sofas and the Donzos. They cannot get a wrap around onto the immense backline here from Wham as the Scholars provide endless value with that healing. But the frontline holds. MarineLorD is still somehow in this. The train from Wham just keeps ever pumping. We can see reinforcements streaming across the map endlessly. The Lancer numbers are now starting to dwindle quite severely. The food income from MarineLorD is also suffering despite the heavy farm transition behind this. But the position is too entrenched here for MarineLorD. Wham can't seem to break through and is just a stalemate here underneath the TC. And Wham is forced back yet again.
And this feels like Wham for the second has felt desperate to do this. Wham didn't need to take this fight under the TC. Wham didn't need to try and kill him in that moment, but he felt he needed to. So investing this much under that TC definitely was MarineLorD's opportunity to do well here. So he got the trades he needed. The Lancers are not as full numbered as they were before, and we do see the gold is not where it was before, as those poor relics, they were lifted out, gotten some idle time, but everything has been spent. Wham though, he's not going to be slowing down, but he needs to be careful not to keep taking these, I would not say unfavorable trades, but risky trades in that. So pretty even trade here all around, but MarineLorD's villager numbers are slowly starting to catch up. And with the amount of keeps he's got, this can snowball out of control eventually. But Wham, I feel like he will know exactly how careful he needs to be. And I say that as he's building a siege workshop all the way in MarineLorD's base, knowing that, hey, I don't need to dive big buildings. I can just take them down from a distance.
It's a tricky spot really for Wham, right? I understand his sort of bloodthirstiness here to try to kill MarineLorD. At the end of the day, it is 5 relics in favor for the Delhi, and when it comes to Imperial Age, they are one of the boogeymen of late game, of course. The ability to have so many keeps, especially with the compound all around the map, not only as drop-off buildings, but town centers for that matter, it means that raiding becomes very difficult against them. Similarly, it's up against the French with the Red Palace as well. But on top of it, of course, if it ever gets to Imperial Age, the Palace of the Sultan, the elephants, the Sultan's elite tower elephants, will be just the bone that breaks Wham's back, I think, in that game. So he doesn't want to risk it getting to that stage. And it's going to look to secure his position as the keep drop is now being set up. A perimeter around MarineLorD's base is being prepared as the Malian siege is starting to be fully on the way here. Investment into siege begins fruitfully. 2 rams as well as a trebuchet more likely on the way here to start slowly tearing MarineLorD apart. And the population, that was a pretty significant tail here. Wham, close to 200 or 200 pop here. MarineLorD not very far behind, but the income is still very stagnant in comparison.
Do you see the crossbow numbers significantly increasing now, but those archers are going to be able to deal with them pretty well. The question is just if that mangonel is going to be able to stay alive to get a deadly shot on this back line, but Wham has regained every bit of confidence he's needed to take any fight under this TC, with those 2 rams taking quite a bit of fire, and a counter trebuchet from MarineLorD firing back. Now he does need to find a way to take these rams down, so the units will come out a little bit further, and the Sofas capitalize on every single step they take. The archer numbers, they're scary, but those crossbows are even scarier when we consider that these Sofas are going to melt under them. If given the chance, the TC is repaired by all the villagers, and MarineLorD's villager lead is being utilized to keep this TC alive. The last ram will go down pretty soon, but the fight is about to happen, and the mangonels, they do need to move back, and it doesn't look like TC is ready to go down just yet.
The sheer army population here from Wham is just astounding. They are, of course, Malian units, typically, statistically, because of raw stats, weaker than other civilizations' units, but the mass is there. The food income is there as well. MarineLorD is looking to make a desperate defense here with the mangonels in perfect entrenched position to shut off these archers from having free reign and carrying the fight for Wham. Plenty of cavalry beside this as well. Now, with the presence of these crossbows, this does make the fights quite a bit trickier for Wham. His Sofa frontline will melt way faster than he had seen before, and I'm sure this is something he recognizes. But with 4 trebuchets now in the field, the very main TC here for MarineLorD is under threat, and the landmarks are very close together. The Dome of the Faith is already a ruin. The TC is next to fall, and then the Compound of Defender is undoubtedly the next target here for Wham. And that's going to look to be under heavy threat too, because this TC is not getting repaired. It's going to die any moment now. And Wham, at this point, being 200 or 200 pop means that his bank will start slowly building.
No, Wham, he learned from this. In the next fight he took under that TC, felt like, hey, I still am losing things. Let's just make more trebuchets. As a 5th one is coming out now, realizing he needs to make this happen. MarineLorD is looking for a bit of an opening. Mangonels going to be firing at those trebuchets under the keep. They do get a decent shot off, but the problem is now the Sofas are in position to do something about this as well. They overstep just a little bit, but the trebuchets have their eyes set on one goal and one goal only, with the mangonels again moving forward, but this is just moving them into a little bit of a squishy position here. Mangonels trying to get a few decent shots, they get a few archers, but it is not going to be enough to make them feel worth it. So the mangonels trying to get a deadly shot finally on that group, but MarineLorD cannot keep up the numbers that Wham is able to do so. With that keep helping with that bit of firing as well, another mangonel going down, and we see one left. This is going to be a tough one to try and keep alive. MarineLorD desperately trying to fix the landmark, and you can see the wood is decreasing because that landmark, it costs wood to fix, and he's out of it.
Yes, I mean, the compound was the last landmark here for MarineLorD, right? But now all of a sudden, just gets Imperial Age just like that. Palace of the Sultan is now up and running. Upgrades now in queue. Wham! You can see, he realizes maybe I need to step up the gas here just a little bit. The mangonels have done tremendous work here for MarineLorD on the defense, keeping their archer mass in check. He did overextend them earlier, however. 2 have gone down, and now the last one has fallen as well. Another one hits the field for him. The first tower elite Sultan Elephant is now in queue. It's going to take a little while for him to produce, even with 4 scholars garrison inside of it. But now the compound has fallen as well. Landmark victory is no longer really an option here for Wham. He's going to most likely look to try to get his own imperial age as the food income starts to build further and his bank also builds. Definitely going to need it, I think, now to actually finish MarineLorD, because this position is so entrenched here from MarineLorD. He's not looking to give any further inches of his base away. He's making a stand, and he now has all the tools needed to do so. This is what we're talking about, right? Going to the Imperial Age here for MarineLorD with these 5 relics is starting to get very scary here for Wham. He still has complete and total map control and the military presence to keep MarineLorD in his base, at least until the upgrades finish. He needs his own age up. That is now on the way, as the Fort of the Huntress is placed towards that southern sacred side, will deny the decap, as well as secure that stone, maybe a little bit further from the side than it needs to be.
Now, getting control of that is going to be important, and MarineLorD knew that, trying to decap it at around minute 8.5 to ensure that this doesn't become an actual win condition, as we've seen so many times in these games, where pro players are just like, hey, this is not a problem right now. MarineLorD knew it was possible, and he tried, but quickly got shut down, because Wham was also fully prepared for this. Those trebuchets doing such an amazing amount of work, but MarineLorD, he's waiting for those upgrades, as we can see them slowly coming in. The thing is, he's queued up those Imperial upgrades minutes ago, and they are taking forever, especially with all the scholars that he had before. They're just not that plentiful anymore, so these upgrades are going to take a while. He doesn't want to take a fight before this, but the problem is, Wham is Imperial. His upgrades are going to be following suit pretty soon, and MarineLorD is going to have a very narrow timing here to really try and win a fight.
Yes, that's the price you pay for using your scholars there on the main fight. It means that if you lose plenty, when it comes to this Imperial Age especially, the upgrade timings will take so long for you as Delhi. And MarineLorD is feeling that for hand, but and loses 2 trebs, make that 3 here, and his siege has crawled to a complete halt. Oh, he's pissed. Wham. As the upgrades begin. Actually still some ways out at this point in time, the elite or the archers as well as for the sofa. Quite some way out still for him now. But the keep is about to fall. MarineLorD looking to regain control of his base now. His upgrades are not far out at all. The crossbow upgrade is mere seconds from finishing. Even double university tech is now underway for him. Incendiary arrows as well as biology, absolute essentials for him, will be on the way.
Yeah, we could see the dog was in full agreement that MarineLorD finally got himself together to hold the line as long as needed. But now there's one big way he needs to push, and it was going to be the sacred site, but the sacred site does not get decapped, and that was so close. The Ghazi Raiders, they do have another plan as well, just hoping to do something about this right now, but the Ghazi Raiders are not able to decap this. The villagers quickly trying to get just a little bit of reinforcement around here, and he does need to make a plan to come back and get this back under control, as the Ghazi Raiders are starting to chop away at those villagers, and this is a pretty expensive loss for them already.
The positioning is horrible here for MarineLorD. Wham, looking to wrap around with the sofas from 3 angles, but the cutoff is there from MarineLorD's northern forces. The Tower Elite Sultan Elephant is there, looking to bog down these archers as well as the sofa. The damage is actually insane from that elephant, combined with the mangonel. There's no front line left here for Wham. Most of the sofas are bogged down somewhere else. They are going to look to rejoin the main fight here soon. The mangonel gets sniped out. It's a fantastic conclave here for Wham around this woodline. He's going to look to completely envelop MarineLorD here in game number 1, and it's looking like MarineLorD may have overstepped his bounds and overestimated his position, as Wham looks to consolidate his lead even further, as now he looks to march directly forward. The elephants, the one on the front, falls. The second one is back to hold the push, as well as 2 additional mangonels, 3 more in queue here for MarineLorD.
And MarineLorD, MarineLorD not just about holding, he needs to find a plan that works after this as well. We see those mangonels going to be able to hit the archer mass a little bit. The problem is the sofas have an idea about what happens to them next, and very quickly we learn that idea is complete destruction, or distraction, as MarineLorD would say. And Papi Paw rooting for his brother, even all the way here from my microphone, getting whammed at 1-0 up on MarineLorD. MarineLorD, right now, this was a pretty tough game for him. He definitely tried his best to shut down anything that the Malians had on offer, and Wham had the spawn for him to do so. But Wham held on, and just as we thought MarineLorD held on just long enough, Wham showed us what Malians is really capable of, especially in this early Imperial gameplay.
Excellent play here from both sides, of course, but Wham fully utilizing Malians to the limit, understanding the strength of his food income, waiting on those numbers to pile up, continuing to mount up the pressure time and time again, matching the Imperial Age, getting his upgrades in good timing, and the encirclement outside of the base was just textbook from Wham, securing the opening game here up against MarineLorD, who is now finding himself on the back foot in this series and picks King of the Hill as his comeback map.
Now, MarineLorD, we know him as a man who plays standard. You don't get the archer ball inside a ram to run around your TC from MarineLorD. You get that from someone like B, or a backyard barracks from B, who did amazingly in this tournament so far. MarineLorD is a standard guy. He knows how to adapt to people who are not so standard. And him picking King of the Hill, it doesn't speak to the standard play style that we're used to, but it speaks to the fact that we know that he's adaptable. And he feels confident in his ability to take down anyone on King of the Hill. He said, I will be taking you down with Aeobids or Sengoku. And Wham says, bring Sengoku. I don't want to deal with Aeobids. MarineLorD, on the other hand, says, let's deal with Ottomans and not Byzantines. And just like you said before, MarineLorD values Byzantines above most. And he's showing us exactly that. With letting that Ottomans through, I'm quite surprised. As people are valuing Ottomans as such a strong civilization, he still says that Byzantines is going to be the force I will not reckon with.
I'm quite surprised to see Aeobids once again sniped out here in the second set today. Earlier, of course, we saw them taken out on Kawasan, it was, in the earlier series. I mean, Aeobids are very potent here, to be honest, so that kind of makes sense. Just on King of the Hill, once those Manjaniques come in, which rarely can you prevent, they start looking very, very scary for sure. Sengoku, however, we know exactly where their strengths lie, but I guess they can be a little bit more controllable, predictable. I'm not sure what Wham's thinking is.
The question I have here, and I think a lot of people might be asking, what is Sengoku's strength here on King of the Hill? Because if you're thinking about King of the Hill, you are not necessarily thinking about horse movement speed. Because the raiding capabilities, especially, I would say, in late feudal to castle, get shut down pretty quickly. But at the same time, MarineLorD is someone... Do we just get Yumi upgrades, finally? I don't know what to expect from Sengoku on this map, because it's not something that I think most of us are used to seeing on a map like King of the Hill. So Sengoku is a strong civ. Most people will not want to face it on most maps, but it feels like they should be manageable on a map such as this one. So Wham getting Ottomans, he doesn't mind playing a long game. Neither does Sengoku. We're just going to need to see if MarineLorD can actually put enough work down to not play against an Ottoman late game. Not that that's the case in most of the games of King of the Hill. So, Myriad, if I'm completely lost and you can see how Sengoku just synchronizes with this map, please explain it so everyone can learn.
It's the Shinobis. It's...
Oh yeah.
It's the Shinobis. There's no... I'm not going to pretend like there's too much more here to consider when it comes to why Sengoku is good on on any map, really, it's the Shinobis. It's the Shinobis, and just
Okay.
the fact they can spawn them in any stealth forest, which admittedly,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any on this map, actually. But you can spawn them to friendly buildings as well. So, you know, creeping up with buildings towards the top of the hill, pretty easy thing to do as the game goes on, without a doubt. Especially against a slightly slower civilization like the Ottomans. Of course, Sengoku themselves can be pretty slow indeed. I'm quite excited to see, I already see chat mentioning it, Sipahi up against Yari. I just want to see a game of nothing but Sipahi and nothing but Yari. And let's see who wins.
Honestly, Maria, that is not something I think we can show live on stream, because that it would be a slaughter. Absolute slaughter. No, not necessarily. No. A slaughter does not mean one way. A slaughter just means a lot of dead things and a lot of blood everywhere. And I feel like that's exactly what we'll see. Because Abahi's arguably the best horse in the game, right? Yari, though, with the, is that the argument that people are making? Sabahi's
it's the best unit in the game. I know not everyone agrees with me. I know many do. Sipahi, the best unit in the game, bar none. Except the bug Kipchaks, but those don't count.
So yeah, Twitch chat agrees, and when Twitch chat says something, you guys, you know it's true. So guys, let's go see what Ottomans and Sengoku has on offer here. And honestly, MarineLorD's starting point here, I love it. I knew it was coming, but seeing it in action, it feels good. Guys, imagine those farms later in the game. It is just such a big range of inspiration with non-stop wood for everyone. And Twitch, I know you're thirsty. You will enjoy any amount of wood gathering that this man has on offer for us. But Wham, going for that normal military school opening, he is going to be the one who sends that spearman out to start making life hard again and actually force your opponent to make units to handle it.
Yeah, the wood priority is there for MarineLorD. Of course, not as great of a spawn this time round. The gold is forward, the berries are forward, so the only thing underneath that Matsuri is going to be, of course, the outer edge wood line, which encapsulates the entirety of the map. Now, ideally, in a perfect world, you would have the gold as well as the wood right next to each other with the Sengoku, which would allow you the optimal opening with the Matsuri to go and trade gold for wood, which is going to give you the fastest triple Yatai timing in combination with the age up, but that's pretty difficult to do when you don't have them together like this. You don't quite have the wood necessary for it. So it's going to be the slower version of the opening here for MarineLorD, which begs the question whether he's actually going to fully commit to all of the Yatai. We know he's going to at least make 2, as the wood gathering is still underway. Second one has now been queued up. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, very standard here for Wham, the military school opening. It's going to mean that he can slowly apply a little bit of pressure onto those Yatai. It's going to be somewhat delayed. Of course, the first spear still some way out from actually coming out to be able to do damage. It's going to be about 30 seconds now, I believe, until he hits the field.
Now, with the scouting coming out, we do know exactly what these men have on offer. You can see, hey, I've taken enough sheep back home. Ottomans, not really a civilization that struggles with this, though. They've got a lot of cards they get to play Sengoku as well. So even if you do lose that battle earlier, it doesn't feel like the end of the world. Now, with the food spawns to the top and the bottom usually, you also have a little bit more of a reach when it comes to putting your Yatai out and collecting the food before the Sapahis become a problem. Now, Sapahis are a very natural transition, as we saw today, horsemen being made against the Yatai pretty early on. So Sapahis were going to be made anyway. It feels like the natural investment. It's not something that you're wasting resources on just to respond to the Yatai, because you can use them for anything and everything. Now, those spears, or soon-to-be spears, will need to find a little bit of work to at least force MarineLorD to make something that he doesn't want to make, such as getting those Yumis out when you don't really want to be investing in them when you're going to be dealing with those Sapahis, who are going to be absolutely everywhere, especially considering your wood line is so far away from the TC, and there's no safe place for the villagers to just hop in once they get on out there. So Yatai just snacking away on every bit of food that he can in the environment. And we'll see if this is going to be an easy one for MarineLorD to defend once it starts coming in. Now, the age up for Wham coming in pretty quickly, and that's just going to mean a little bit more time needed, and we'll have the Sapahis on the board. Cocker Township coming in to the surprise of absolutely no one.
That's normally the question against Ottomans, and one of the reasons so many struggle against it, because from a compositional perspective, it feels so difficult to deal with them. As you mentioned, the Sipahi, such a potent cavalry unit, especially in the feudal age, able to command presence all over the map, even dealing with a counter in many situations. Then you have the mech there, which will boost archers from the Ottomans as well, giving them some really strong archers in the feudal age. Of course, compared to the cheaper, weaker Yumi, that's quite a difficult spot to be in, considering you don't even really want to make them against Sipahi in the first place. But at the same time, you could maybe go Yari Cavalry here as MarineLorD, but I think to actually start beating the Sipahi, it is possible, but you will need that second tier daimyo estate, and that's over, as well as the upgrade, which is over 900 resources of investment in the feudal age. That's easier said than done here for MarineLorD.
That's a significant investment, and I don't see MarineLorD having the ability to even think about that, at least for the first while here. We do see that first Apahi already being produced there by the military school, and stable to follow suit as we expect those numbers to just increase exponentially. The Yatai trying to get as much outside resources while he can, and the villagers just pushed off of gold, so they're not going to be able to get all the gold they need to make this a little bit easier for them as the time goes on. Now, the Cocker Township being up, that means this is great. He can finally think about, what can I do against this? But let's take a look at those production buildings that he's opted for. We see the Shinobis making their way out towards that Yatai at the top, but the problem is, there's going to be Sapahis coming towards the base pretty soon, and you want to have those Shinobis to actually keep your units safe. A barracks and a stable being the weapon of choice, with the first spearman now coming out.
It's going to be melee composition for MarineLorD so far as the Sengoku. Similar to what Wham is doing, we have the free spearmen from the military school. Sipahi are now also on the way. Harassment on the Yatai continues, but the Shinobi are going to be enough to at least be annoying here for the spears. Of course, they do very, very little damage at this point in time, virtually insignificant. It's more about that debuff and the slow that we see applying now. We can see the purple aura surrounding the spearmen. That is the debuff on the way. Shinobi are now finished, however, and this Yatai, now with the Sipahi, is going to start taking significantly more damage, and I don't think it's actually going to come back to base safely, Mareka. Especially with the Fortitude now being activated, so much extra attack speed on that Sipahi. You can see just the amount of hits it gets through, the extra range, so potent in this position. And losing a Yatai so early as the Sengoku actually hurts a lot. Archer follow-up is going to be on the cards for Wham as well.
It shows that Wham knows exactly how to exploit any level of greed. MarineLorD is not used to being punished this much for just going out there and putting his Yatta on a little bit of food. He knew about the spearmen, and he was able to not pull the Yatai back, thinking this was going to be safe enough. We do see that almost the Sipahi interrupts that food trader that would have inspired the 5% bonus on his Matsuri as well. Now, he's got a bunch of spears. He can most likely stop the Sipahis for now, but Wham is already transitioning into several other units. So Wham getting a little bit of everything here, which makes a lot of sense. You need to be able to shut down whatever Son Goku is putting in your face. The Yari Cavalry now produced, which just means MarineLorD can play a standard MarineLorD style, which is be everywhere all the time and force mistakes out of your opponent. Wham, he just doesn't look like he's making mistakes today.
Oh, he's looking so sharp, isn't he? Just always in the right place at the right time. Right as I say that, though, I jinx him. Losing 2 militaries. But absolutely no value here whatsoever. That can happen. That can happen. But looks like he will find a bit of respite in the form of other Yatai. Very, very conveniently exposed here for Wham, and the Sipahi wastes no time. The Fortitude gets activated already at half health. He doesn't care. He's gonna commit. Oh, actually, I take that back. I didn't say anything, guys.
This is your fault. Every single unit that stays alive or dies today, I think we're blaming it on you. So whoever loses this, just apologize to them afterwards. It is what it is. It happens to all of us.
Gosh, the curse is real, without a doubt. Tower's being rushed up now on the gold here from MarineLorD, looking to not get denied off of gold yet again, and very good timing it is as well. Goes up just in time to see the mass of Wham approaching.
Now, Wham's mass, it doesn't feel like there's pause pressed on this mass just yet, because this mass wants to shut down what MarineLorD needs, and that's gold. Now, we do see in making a few archers now, the Yumi numbers are going to feel great once they get there. The problem is just Wham looks like he's out for blood again. He's just going on every single angle he can try and find a little bit of damage. We do see over there on the bottom deer, there's a bunch of red dots, possibly some Sipahis, yes, are looking for a bit of damage. Now they're going to be able to run to the stone, see that there's nothing in sight, and the army quickly rotating behind them. But as they're rotating, we see another bunch of red dots there at the top, trying to go out and find damage themselves, even if it's just a stray little Yatai.
And Yatai at this point in time, 2.5 times the price of a villager. Losing this hurts so much for Sengoku. And MarineLorD's gonna lose a second one now, but finds a raid at the same time. Takes out 2 of Wham's villagers on that wood line and idles the entirety of it at the same time. Met by the reinforcements. Just a couple of Yari going out on the exit. You know, Wham, the Sipahi, they're in position. Quick reactions by MarineLorD, though. He's going to pull away from the berries. The Yatai also pulled back, so no damage outside of idle time found there. Now, the force in the north is going to get chased by the Shinobi and a few of MarineLorD's forces here, but Wham turns around and realizes, hang on, I have triple your army, so now I can fight.
Now, when I look at this combination of units, you can see these Yumis are going to be critical. With him already going for that first level, this feels great. These guys are going to be able to pack quite a punch, +1 ranged attack coming in too. The problem is just the heavy amount of Sipahis. They don't usually just take a few shots and let it happen. They can very easily just keep raiding in different spots, and honestly I'm a little surprised that Wham has not been on that wood line with 1 or 2 Sipahis. So unfortunately, I think MarineLorD's investment into those archers, they are still going to struggle against the huge amount of Sipahis out of Wham here. But Wham also, you see the villagers quite stacked on top of each other. That signifies, hey, we're eating a lot. We're using every bit of food we can, and we can see why he's doing so. With the wheelbarrow coming in as well, just before Castle Age, we are getting a proper Castle Age from Wham. And we have all been under siege against... as a good old by the pressure of Ottomans. Sorry guys, I found the English finally. And the Ottomans in Castle, it hits differently. MarineLorD though, he's also thinking about Castle, but I don't know if his Castle hits the same way as an Ottoman's Castle Age.
Can be very, very potent for Sengoku as well, but especially behind in timing, well, it won't be much behind, a couple seconds at best here. But of course, the free siege from Ottomans, the higher tier vizier points that you start getting even faster as your production ramps up for the Ottomans, it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary, and it feels like the longer you wait, the worse it gets. If you just sit back and do nothing, you pretty much always just end up getting outscaled, it feels like, as the age up is going to be on the way, and it is in fact the Mehmed Imperial Armory, to no one's surprise, and the Sake Brewery on the other side, again to no one's surprise as well. And MarineLorD, his army numbers are not looking very impressive, frankly. Plenty of spears to answer the Sipahi, but the Yari and the Yumi are looking a little bit low up against Wham's forces. I am curious though, did we have a little look at the vizier points? I know we have the 2 imams, but because there's 2 mehters, that makes me wonder, do we have the mehter drums as well as a vizier point for that extra move speed? That could come in quite useful. We do not actually, so it's 2 manually produced. It was the sheep instead, and Anatolian Hills.
Now, with all of these guys out here, this just spells a quick pickup every now and again and can quickly snowball either direction. And this is what I'm a little bit afraid of here for Wham, that he feels like, hey, you've just aged up, I need to attack. But this feels like a patience game, at least for a little while. With MarineLorD being out here on the deer, we know that his farm transition isn't where he needs it to be. He needs time. He's got samurais in queue right now, and this is going to be great, but Wham also needs just a little bit more time to really get these archers to hit the way the castle ones are supposed to hit. And ooh, the shinobis, they get a pretty good shot off, and this could be devastating. But luckily for Wham, that army does not find a full connection. A few spearmen are picked off, and in the end, Wham came out ahead.
Yeah, MarineLorD just looking to control Wham's pacing there a little bit. Keep him on edge. He has been on the defensive pretty much the entirety of the game so far, so now looks to flip the script at least a little bit. We have Shinto shrines on the field now for MarineLorD, and we see those first monks starting to be in queue for him. Warrior monks as well, these are. They will heal all nearby units with each attack, so sort of supportive Keshik almost in that regard. And of course, they will be able to pick up relics as well for him. Mounted Samurai and Yumi is the composition follow-up of choice here from MarineLorD. No surprises there. It is going to be the Oda clan as the first daimyo estate for him. We see the 1 in the UI there indicating that it is tier 1. Do we have the upgrade? If we can quickly check the Oda clan estate, we will find out. For the Yumi, very nice little +1 damage. Enough, we're going to probably find the second daimyo estate soon as well. Oh, it's the one there, just below the sake brewery. Yeah, it's that cool looking building. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we don't have the upgrade just yet. Soon enough, I'm sure, that will come in, and it's going to make a big difference in these fights, especially with the attack speed bonus from the daimyo as well. The Waterloo comes in as the monk is intercepted by the Sipahi. You can see extra health on the monk. Can prove clutch in certain situations, but against so many Sipahi, it's not quite enough.
Now, the Relic War is going to be a pretty important one here, as we see all those big goals are quite far out after this. Another Yatai just getting picked off, and now I'm going to just ask our observer to, after this fight, just take a look at the bonus for the Sengoku already to see how much those villagers are working faster than others. But we do see a few of those Sipahis paying the price now, and Mechter will be running for his life. No, never mind, they do get out alive, but with all of these horses, this spells a little bit of trouble for Wham, because that mobility is what you usually struggle with as the Ottomans at this point. Not late on, because of course you love playing against cavalry as time goes on, but MarineLorD knows that there's an open timing here where the Janissary numbers are just not going to be where they need to be. And yeah, with all of these extra ones, we can now see that he's most likely going to get that cavalry speed as well to deal with all of those free... Oh, thank you, Mr. Observer. 15% bonus on all of these villages already. So this feels pretty good. It's usually not what we see if our opponent is being passive, but Wham, he's definitely shut down that bonus up until now.
Now we see that +1 damage coming in for Sengoku from the Oda clan estate. Takeda clan is also in at this point in time. That will boost the cavalry here for MarineLorD. So both his archers and his cavalry have +5% additional health and +20% attack speed, I think, at this point in time on the units surrounding that daimyo. And Wham, with his first mangonel, is looking to start pushing across the map here and start gaining the center. And I gotta say, so far, I think this has been the latest sacred site capture we've had in a King of the Hill game for a while, at least from what I've seen. Still not on the way, but it looks like Wham is definitely setting up for it. And this is where Ottomans start to look just really, really strong. When you get this entrenched position on the hill, with the free siege coming in, the Mehmed has been switched over to Springles at this point in time. We have one on the field alongside the Mangonel, second one in queue. They do produce way faster than the Mangonel, so the number's going to climb quite quickly here for Wham. Now Trebs actually put on the Mehmed Imperial Armory, and the army's looking really good with 10 Janissaries as well. I think we might have had the point called in from the Vizier, but I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, MarineLorD's army is just frankly not there. Flash comes in
this
though.
fight.
Does the Shinobi get called too?
This is such a critical fight here for MarineLorD, and we do see those Janissaries cleaning up every single horse they can. I don't know if he's target firing, but it feels like it. This has been a pretty good fight initially for Wham, but it just feels like the numbers are on the side of MarineLorD as the time goes on. But the siege are now met, and you can see very quickly that Mangonel hits the heads of the Yumis, but these samurai are still trying to make their way on top of these archers, and they're doing an okay job. But can MarineLorD actually replace this? And the question, well, the answer is probably going to be no. He doesn't have the farming transition there. He is definitely not going to be able to just reinforce quickly through this. And quickly, he tries to get the farm transition there, but a little bit too late if Wham decides to capitalize on this and push back in.
That was a great fight there for MarineLorD. The fight ended up being a bit even, slightly favored for MarineLorD, but in this case that's a great fight considering that numbers-wise, I think Wham was looking in a great position. But that's the beauty of Castle Age Shinobi for the Sengoku. Even the most impossible of fights become winnable. Let's see of that Koka township. MarineLorD dropped plenty of farms now around that Matsuri. Boosted gather rate is going to be very significant on him, and you see the food income is looking quite bad at this point in time, but that will climb quite quickly as these villagers get to work. Tiny little hot directionality mistake there by MarineLorD, not clicking on the farm at the end to make sure the villagers drop off, but that's always a shift click in this game, you know, has a mind of its own sometimes, so.
It rewards perfection, Myriad, and this is what the game is asking for right now. The thing is, remember when I said that Ottomans has this little bit of an opening where you can overwhelm them with your huge amount of horses? The problem is that opening is starting to disappear as the Janissary numbers are... They're significant. You'd have 12 Janissaries. Oh, 20 Janissaries. He's pressed the button, Myriad. That feels like the button that he just pressed to get all the Janissaries. Yes, exactly. We see 2 Janissaries for every military school now chosen. This just means Wham is not looking for more time. He is looking for damage and defense and just a little bit of a distraction, as MarineLorD would again say, but this time being on the receiving side of it. Now, MarineLorD, he's got the farm set up, but this needs time. And we see a few more horses in queue, 1 scout, 1 Yari. This is not going to be enough, especially with those Janissary numbers looking a little bit too scary.
Not just the Janissary numbers as well, because as you mentioned, the big flashing red button of doom has been pressed by Wham. The Janissaries come in, but the military schools as well, working overtime behind all of this. Just 3 units non-stop here for Wham's Ottomans. And with 3 minutes already gone by on that sacred site timer, fortified outpost, more stone gathering on the way for undoubtedly more outposts. Actually, there's 2 now. Either more outposts or even a keep for that matter. I feel like this is slowly slipping further and further away from MarineLorD's control. Not words I often find myself saying, yet here we are. MarineLorD is definitely on the back foot in this game. And I feel like with this matchup, it's actually only going to get worse and worse. Despite his superior food income, the military schools just keep working. Maybe we can have a quick look at the Vizier point, see if we do have the improved production. For faster production from the military schools. That indeed we do not yet. It's the one on the left on the 3rd row. It did get combined with the Lancer and Janissary. So that is undoubtedly next here for Wham. There's going to be great value gained from that. Little raid attempt here by MarineLorD. He understands his position. He needs to find damage and plenty of it to actually be able to contest this hill as he begins to set up his own siege mass. The large number of Yari and Samurai creep into the economy, find 1 villager, but he knows this is a precarious position to stay in too long, right? The base is condensed, the map, the cliffs, all part of a natural wall. So if you commit fully, you best find at least half of Wham's economy or suddenly your cavalry mass is just vanished.
And this cavalry mass that MarineLorD has just does not feel like it's going to be enough to get this back. There's 5.5 minutes on the clock, and Wham is looking thirsty. Wham is looking like he is ready for any type of attack. MarineLorD realized this, trying to get a little bit of an attack onto the flanks. The problem is just he has so many units that are just ready in position to shut down any type of raid. And even if MarineLorD finds some damage, he needs to find a significant amount. You can see double walls now coming up, Wham walls getting a new definition, and finally showing MarineLorD this is not the type of place he'll be able to run into.
It's great effort by Wham here with his map movements. Wham's looking so sharp up here against MarineLorD in this series so far. Again in a pretty good position in this second game. Now, I was saying earlier the position is getting worse and worse for MarineLorD, but for a brief second there, I forgot about the existence of Shinobi. So frankly, we have no idea how behind he is or how ahead he is because of that unit. We're going to find out soon enough. The first keep is now being constructed just behind the sacred site, as MarineLorD has his own trebs in position. 2 of them are going to start working down those towers quite effectively at that. He's going to be needing a lot of repairs around world to actually keep them alive, more than he can really afford efficiently at this point in time. Army-wise, there's a huge amount of mounted samurai, but the Janissary count.
The thing is, I'm wondering what MarineLorD's plan is here with the age up. Is he going to go for an age up himself before this? Because he's floating a lot of gold. He's building as many units as he possibly can while getting the stone at the ready as well. And this feels like something MarineLorD is cooking that none of us are ready for. Because 1,800 gold in the bank already, it feels like something is up. He's producing every single bit he can. If he just had a split second more time to be able to get to that imp as well, because I feel like with the amount of resources we have here, that could be a pretty strong move here. But at the same time, he's got the replaceability of the units, so even if he loses a bit of siege, he'll be able to replace them. The problem is just he doesn't have the time to replace them. So now this is going to be one big fight, determining so much. We see the mangonel stepping quite far forward and the bell going off for the 3-minute mark. Those trebuchets are doing work against the tower, but I don't know if this is going to be enough because there's so much more he needs to work through. So I don't know. MarineLorD, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Wham is almost ready to make that move forward. He needs to be careful with those Janissaries at the back, and they are pretty much stacked. He moves them back. Good shots at the back, but not good enough, and the fight Myriad. Take it away.
The Janissaries are just completely melting the samurai at this point in time. The count has been halved at this point in time for MarineLorD, and the Sabahi, known for their oppressiveness with siege, the extra range. MarineLorD has nothing to protect the siege anymore, and he never did in the first place because the extra range from the Sabahi is too much, and the front line, as we mentioned, is just gone. This fight was over before it really began, it felt like, as Wham loses virtually nothing and now takes the lead decisively in this game number 2. Now putting MarineLorD one game away from being brought down to the losers bracket here at EGC Masters Final. And Wham is looking monstrous.
Wham definitely did not come in here to mess around. MarineLorD has his work cut out for him. Wham looking absolutely dominating. Amazing performance here by him. So really excited to see this side of Wham, and yes, we have seen this side of Wham several times, but against the GOAT, I feel like the GOAT might be under a little bit of duress after seeing that performance against Wham. Wham is just reading him like a book, and he knows exactly where to hit and when. He also knew exactly how MarineLorD would respond and what he needed to do to defend against that. Most players, when they get into that spot, they would not go for the extra Janissaries from the military schools, but he felt like he needed the numbers to just push MarineLorD off if that attack did come. The Sacred Site victory being inevitable. But we do have our next map, guys. And our next map is Pigeon's View. Pretty standard here among the drafts. People feeling it is a quite comfortable one at that. And MarineLorD echoing the same message he's been messaging or saying the whole time. No Byzantines in my games. And Wham for the second time in a row saying no Ayyubids either.
It's interesting, right? This is what happens with the snipe system we have in place, which I think leads to some really interesting situations, as we see here, which is great. Wham as Byzantines, very strong civilization. Is he ever gonna get to play them though? I don't think so. I don't think Marino's gonna allow it. And it becomes, I think there's a lot of mind games to be discussed here, which I don't know how, to what extent either player even considered it or decided to focus on it, but even just getting a civilization like the Byzantines, right? You pick it just every single map, knowing it's going to get banned, but then that frees up your secondary pick, knowing it's going to get through. So you might actually even want to play that civilization over Byzantines, and I think it gets very interesting. But you know, that's a whole psychology lecture in and of itself, which we don't have time for here. But it is Pigeon's View, and again, it's MarineLorD's pick of the map. Last it was King of the Hill, and he lost. MarineLorD got bested by Wham on his own map choice, and he fought hard, but Ottomans, man, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just that Civ. And Wham's ridiculous gameplay, of course, helps quite a lot. But here on Pigeon's View, we have Wham piloting Rus, and in the past it was High View, now it's Pigeon's View, but this is, outside of maybe King of the Hill, this is pretty much their home map. But at the same time, look what MarineLorD's cooking. It's China, Whammon.
China. Oh, Myriad, we've been seeing China still being a favorite among the top players. So even with the Pro Scouts nerf, they did not get nerfed as hard as I think some of people wanted them to be. But I'm glad to see them still being a priority pick, but we're finally getting to see them in game. We haven't gotten to see that too much, but I also wanted to point out something. When we're looking at maps, there's usually a draft of civilizations that are viable for each map, and a lot of pro players prepare based on the civilizations that are good on each. The fact that Byzantines has been picked on every single one is telling us that Byzantines is good on most maps. And yes, we've only played land up until now, but that tells us that this is probably a civilization we won't be getting the airtime of, especially looking at the other bans as well. So 30 seconds until this game begins. If MarineLorD can survive this one, they're still gorging Kalaga, and Byzantines, from what we've been seeing, they are still going to be able to be played on Gorge, and Wham has a lot of other tricks up his sleeve in that draft, and I would not be too confident if I was MarineLorD going into the rest of them. Even having Mongols and Golden Horde, I like to see the sisters standing strong there for the Kalaga that's waiting for us. But guys, China, still viable after this time. Do you think that MarineLorD is the kind of guy who'll go Pro Scouts? Or are we just seeing a good old move out onto Deer?
It makes sense on this map. I mean, it depends a lot on the spawns, which we will talk about in a second, but we might be witnessing history here as we load into game number 3 between Wham in the color red as the Rus facing MarineLorD of Gentlemates in the color yellow as the Chinese, and Wham looking to push MarineLorD off the cliff into the loser's bracket prematurely here in the first stage of playoffs at EGC Masters Final. And it's quite the game where he could do it here, because Rus historically, at their peak, I think they were quite the stopper to China, even though China was incredibly potent back then as well. But a lot has changed since then. Not only with the Pro Scout, but for Rus in particular. I don't know about you, Ammon, but I don't think I've seen a single horse archer since the change. And, you know, without it, we're having a bit of an identity crisis here for Rus. We've seen so much out of them since. We've seen feudal all-in plays, we've seen 2 TCs, we've seen everything, and nothing has seemed to really stick yet. We've still seen Pro Scouts, but very rarely followed by horse archers. China, also in a bit of an identity crisis at the same time, so quite a matchup in that regards. Likely to see Pro Scouts. That's still been the most popular choice in most games for China, either straight away, but more commonly on a delay after some military investment. Courtesy of those free taxes, they can still get a great timing on it. So, we'll see which one of those it is. Knowing MarineLorD, considering he's against the Rus, he might just opt for it straight away. I could be wrong, because that is a double forward wood line there from Wham, and that's always a good place to hit.
It feels good, but at the same time, we want to question ourselves. Marianne, if you were sitting in this game as a player, which spawn would you like? Between these two guys,
Wow.
I would say MarineLorD didn't get his MarineLorD spawn like he usually would.
See, that's why I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this map in particular. Because the spawn you see Wham having, which, I mean, let's not beat about the bush. It actually might be one of the best spawns I've ever seen in my entire time playing Age of Empires spawn. Let's be completely honest here. This is absolutely ludicrous what I'm seeing right now. Double back there, back berries, back gold. The double forward wood line can be rough, but frankly Roos doesn't care. They have the wooden fortress, so that's not really an issue. Side berries, other berries behind as well. Second and third gold behind, stone behind, large stone behind. It's actually insane. Now MarineLorD is no slouch either. Back there with side there, as well as plenty of back food, back stone as well, and natural wall with the wood lines too. And Pigeon's view is just radical in terms of this, I find. Like, sometimes you have insane spawns to both sides like this. Sometimes your deer is virtually on top of the boar. So, I don't know, honestly. But Wham spawn is frankly just unfair with how good it is. And I'm all here for it.
Now, getting into a position like this, I feel like the poetic justice of the MarineLorD spawn being on the side of Wham means that MarineLorD needs to deserve this one. He needs to earn his way through into that reverse sweep if he wants it. So I love seeing this because I'm a huge MarineLorD fan, and I think MarineLorD, he has his title for a reason. To also consider the MarineLorD spawns, he needs to face up against those to really conquer them. And Wham, even with previous games where his spawns were less than favorable, he managed to come out victorious. So I'm excited to see what Wham could be doing in this situation as well. But MarineLorD, he's going to have to be the playmaker. But with 5 scouts already on the board, Wham is going to be a very happy pro scouting camper. And I would love to see a little bit of play towards the deer of his opponent. Because the whole point of pro scouts now is not just about pro scouting, it's about denying your opponent of food. And now Wham is in a position to do so, especially, ooh, he cancelled one of his scouts, by the way. He realized double back deer, I don't need to worry about this. So with that, he's making MarineLorD's life a little bit harder already. And I like to see this because he realizes, I've got the power here. I can be the one who makes his life just a little bit harder.
That was my question initially as well. With this kind of spawn, do you even bother investing into that technology? Wham doesn't care. He's still going to do it. So Pro Scout is on the way here with 5 scouts on the field already. And MarineLorD is going to look to follow suit. He's actually going to finish way before Wham, despite Wham starting his upgrade first. That's, of course, thanks to the supervision here from MarineLorD's Chinese. And typically, even in the past, we've seen just a handshake, right? Both sides get their deer. Contesting is too expensive, and you can never really contest in time with either civ here. Most of the time, at least, unless China skips Pro Scouts early and gets it later. But that's not the case in this case. So, glad to see I was able to actually predict the play from MarineLorD here. Give myself some stars for that one. We do have the forgotten outposts, or abandoned outposts rather, captured in the center there by Wham. Easy to do with the scouts, of course. That's a great advantage he has, and he's going to look to employ now. MarineLorD is going to be an archer follow-up. No surprise, ArcherLord is unleashed here in his final form for the potentially decider game of this set.
So basically, when we get to a position like this, we can see that Wham is just snacking on every bit of deer he can. So with him having the scout advantage as well, he's going to be able to try and steal a few deer if MarineLorD allows him with those archers. This is interesting to me because with those scouts, he's going to be able to move out, grab a few deer, and just let them rot as he's carrying them back. And I feel like this is this is a great play that the devs made. Just ensuring that per scouts, it has a little bit of negative parts to it, but at the same time, you don't get to just cleanly capitalize on it. I love this about Wham now. Just killing what he can, putting them in an awful position, and just like that, carrying him into the depths of the stealth forest. Disgusting. And now a black... Was that... No, that's just a little house. It looked like a very big blueprint there for a second. Oh, no, that is a blacksmith. Oh my goodness. Oh, I got bamboozled there for a second, Marion. And going for the +1 ranged attack now. Does this just mean that the fast castle coming out of Wham is going to be a little bit questionable here with the aggression coming towards his side? And now my biggest question is, what is the follow-up here? Because this setup with the amount of villages we see on wood is old school horse archers. Would Wham be so brave as to pull out horse archers?
It's very interesting with horse archers as they are today, because there's a very clear shift intended for their role. They are notably just flat out weaker against all forms of heavy units. They will just deal less damage than they did before, period, against heavy units, because they lose some damage in exchange for attack speed. So that is going to hurt. But the extra attack speed and the lower damage is actually an increase in DPS against low armor units. So theoretically speaking, they are better against everything MarineLorD has, but archers early on are still really the best answer against them, outside of horsemen, right? If you're looking for the budget version, archers is before that, before those upgrades come in, especially Boyar's Fortitude makes a massive difference. But that's some ways out for Wham, without a doubt. We do have the Rangers prepped, and it's just going to be horse archers, and I'm so excited to see how they do now, because as I said, I don't think I've seen them, definitely not in a pro game so far yet, since their change. But the hunting cabin is going to go down, MarineLorD takes it out, so value gain there for his military investment. He's going to keep investing a little bit further, but not much longer, as the castle age is already on his mind, as we can see, the gold pooling, the food slowly pooling as well. He just wants to keep Wham in his base until he gets his own age up. No sneaky relics or sneaky boars allowed here.
And I was concerned there for a second because I saw no more horse archers in queue, and I'm thinking to myself, is this man really going 3 archer range into stable transition to throw Wham off? But no, MarineLorD, he's going for more horse archers, and these guys are looking for blood. Now, with these scouts accompanying our horse archer army of 3, they are going to be able to quickly find a little bit of damage. That tower is going to provide refuge for quite a bit of vills, and all of a sudden, MarineLorD's little attack is just not landing, because that MarineLorD spawn has got him by the spears. The spears are just not going to be strong enough to carry him through all of the safety of the wood lines. And we can see these horse archers, they are looking for blood. The scouts just running around with them. We see the villagers on the straggler trees, something you don't see that often at this stage of the game, just as he pulled them back there and keeping them safe for that Imperial Palace. And now coming on in with 9 villagers. This is not going to take too long, but you see the yellow dots all around the map. MarineLorD is trying to put pressure wherever he can.
And the Imperial Palace is invaluable on this kind of a map with so much stealth for us. It's going to give MarineLorD God vision almost, covering at least a third of the map really, with how huge the radius is. He does spot that warrior monk exiting the monastery on his way towards the relic. Almost manages to snipe it out, but not quite. It is quite tanky indeed. He's going to look to wrap all the way around that southern wood line and maybe go all the way to MarineLorD's relic, it looks like, on his side of the map. Reinforcements here with the horse archers are still wrapping around that northern side, being pulled in the base as well. And Wham is looking to cut off MarineLorD's reinforcements, but the castle age is in by now. Veterancy for the archers is now finished with that supervision. And MarineLorD can just keep making archers here, and he's going to kind of be fine. He does still have the blacksmith advantage as well. He's going to look to trade directly against his horse archers. Not a fight they really want to take yet.
And That's kind of the problem with horse archers. When you're over investing in horse archers, you need something to transition into. And Wham is doubling down on this. He believes in the way of the horse archer, but the archers are an okay answer, at least for now. We can see the horse archers just trying to get a few cheap shots off, and a few villages under that TC is already standing idle. This means that our food is not looking the way that Wham needed it to look. So a few more deer carcasses under there, but them being stacked on top of each other just means there is not an unlimited amount up for grabs here. Those horse archers haven't found the damage they needed, and they are just not that great in a 1-to-1 fight. So attacks from every single angle. MarineLorD knows he needs to keep those archers coming, and he needs to keep that pressure up. And Wham is just tripling down still on the horse archers. But with the food income, a switch is going to be so expensive.
Expensive indeed, and quite a dire time to do it as well. I mean, the spears are still there for MarineLorD, even if you want to go cavalry, which is clearly the plan here for Wham, with the stable now dropped as well. Steel arrow on the way for him, and he's going to run into directly MarineLorD's mass here. He does have the scouts in position, so he's going to be able to see it in time. Both players bouncing back and forth, not wanting to fully commit here, Wham has. He doesn't really have the mass yet, so I don't blame him. Steel arrow still some ways out. We now see that veterancy for the Rus Knight in queue, so that's going to be next on the menu for him as the second stable is now on the way. But the deer is out. Only the high trade house is left, and that's on the forward. We do have a springboard emplacement on the wooden fortress. That's going to certainly make MarineLorD think twice about trying to torch that wall or even push in. But the berries is now Wham's next destination, moving out to the northern one and the one on the far left of the map here. And MarineLorD, the switch is coming. It's going to be Lancers to follow up as well, and it's going to do so well against the new horse archers nowadays. But of course, Wham's Knights are just flat out better once that Hoya's Fortitude comes in, especially with the Divine Blessing in fights from those warrior monks. Looks like the horse archers have been peeled off. Wham is going raiding.
And he needs to do some damage. He needs to find any level of damage with these guys. Because the problem is, and the reality is, in a face-to-face fight, they are just not going to cut it. And the Lancer's shutting down another relic. Beautiful play here by MarineLorD. But this archer mass taking down one of these horse archers. These horse archers need to get somewhere where they can do the damage they need. MarineLorD's got 24 villagers idle, and this spells also a slowdown of the food that he most likely just ran out of. So with Wham, he's still quadroing down on horse archers though. He says, I haven't found the damage, but I believe in them. And Wham knows something that we do not, and I'm excited to see what that is in the next fight, because if he's investing this much into horse archers, I feel like they have to be good in a fight, and he's tested it. He knows this, because you wouldn't take a risk like this if you weren't confident.
Top efficiency, right? It's never to be underestimated, even in the face of counters, the horse archers, as well as the knights with the warrior monks. Such a more premium composition than MarineLorD's, despite having his own knights. So as these numbers just keep on swelling, eventually we'll get to a point where the army count is pretty similar, but the value is going to run away severely in Wham's favor, although that's yet to be the case. We see MarineLorD still quite firmly in the lead here, at over 1,500 now, in favor of him for army value, and he's just going to stick to the tried and true, the archers with the lancers. Wham finds a very nice pick here. He's going to detect 4 lancers out of position in the stealth forest, courtesy of all this vision with the scouts. You can see the damage already. It's just not really there anymore for these horse archers. Now, it's true that MarineLorD has the additional armor. Wham is still missing his secondary damage, but still not quite what we're used to seeing. And that could be a problem later on in the fight. We'll see how it goes. But MarineLorD does discover these berries and the wooden fortress. Villagers are running for their lives. There's spots in the wooden fortress, but he knows the wooden fortress is not long for this world. As the villagers are running, now MarineLorD shifts his focus on the fortress instead, but at the same time Wham wants to do his own damage. Finds a villager, idles the wood line, but is met by plenty of MarineLorD's reinforcements, so he's going to be forced to back off for now. But MarineLorD is still on the hunt.
MarineLorD not just hunting, but also just getting complete map control here. Now, it might not feel like map control for some of you when you see all the red dots running around, but he's forcing Wham into such an awful spot, because Wham right here, he doesn't have the same level of freedom as you do with China. China, they easily expand with the Barbican, with the vision that they usually have at age 3. So this is not a position that MarineLorD feels uncomfortable in. He knows exactly where these attacks are landing. He knows where he needs to attack. And the Lancers to this army, 18 of them, is just going to be impossible to take down this quickly. We see a lot of villagers being pulled onto the boar, and this is just spelling more and more problems, as MarineLorD is not scared of moving out on this map. We saw him with his one single archer doing so much work and quickly trying to reinforce these towers as well. Wham wanted to attack them for a second, but pulls off instead and gets a few kills here at the back, but we can see that villager kill count, and it's in the favor of MarineLorD. MarineLorD has killed so many villagers with these raids. He is in control of this, and Wham just does not have an answer right now.
It makes sense that when it matters most, MarineLorD would pull out the Chinese and show exactly how oppressive of a pick they can be. And he is executing a beautiful Chinese game here for us. Watching all angles, the Imperial Palace giving immense vision in the center. And now the flanks are also covered. The double outpost, like you mentioned, now fortified. And the forgotten outpost, the abandoned outpost in the north rather, on the boar, is also in control, but there's quite a lot of cavalry there, and MarineLorD not gonna underestimate that. He's gonna pull away from the outpost, which is getting fortified as we speak. Actually, it's a sprinkle emplacement instead, and it's actually quite a blessing in disguise that this stays up here at this point in time, because now he can repair
and just
it.
picks off. He tries to do a little cheeky Wallalaw, not going to be interrupted there at all, and he will get the relic there to safety. And as a Rus player who hit castle first, this feels a little unusual to not have all the relics on your side. With all the resources per minute as well, we see that Wham, he is in the lead, at least for now, with the food per minute. But MarineLorD, he doesn't have the same worries as Wham. Oh, Barbican of the Sun, I said earlier, with that he's going to get vision. We have to think about the fact that Wham is out there on the board. This will run out eventually. He does have a pretty strong army here, at least for now. The problem is just the amount of units on MarineLorD's side. I still think MarineLorD takes this, even with a bunch of knights here in between. The Lancer now getting more villager kills, already 10 going down. Luckily for them, the Stealth Forest keeps them alive as the Lancer does not see into the darkness. But MarineLorD, again, he's up against the Horse Archer army, and Wham is still making Horse Archers. He believes in this, and we need to find out why.
Now, MarineLorD has been in the driver's seat so far and controlling the movement around the map, and now discovers the boar as well. We were speaking about the efficacy of these horse archers and the cavalry army from Wham, and we are about to witness it firsthand, it looks like. Now, the value has closed a little bit, but it's still in favor of MarineLorD at this point in time. The main issue here is that frontline count. MarineLorD has just so many more Lancers than Wham, and Wham desperately needs to consolidate those numbers when it comes to a fight. Now, if he manages to mirror the Lancer count, I would say in a fight he's undoubtedly favored. But now, with the crossbows being added in as well from MarineLorD, that window might slowly closing for Wham at this point in time. Considering we have Song as well, passive additional villager production is going to start. Increased production rate on those villages, I mean, and it's already starting to slip away. Of course, the 4 officials count towards that, but MarineLorD is already more than 10 ahead.
Now, with MarineLorD having Song Dynasty, he's getting all those extra vills as time progresses as well. And even though when you look at the army value, they might look even, pound for pound, MarineLorD's army is just going to be able to take this a little bit better than on the side of Wham. Now, I would say that, but again, if Wham is getting more horse archers, there's something he knows that we do not. And I'm so excited to find that out. But he does run into the Barbican. He understands, okay, you are getting that villager advantage. You killed a ton of mine as well. I probably need to find some kills. And just like that, he gets villagers into safety. MarineLorD is not planning on losing any villager, and he's not letting any spawn give his opponent an advantage. Really amazing play here by MarineLorD, ensuring that he takes control of this. Now, with him having the top side controlled with Barbican and the army here on the south, Wham's food income is not going to be what it used to be, but at the same time, MarineLorD, he's also not in the same position he was a while ago. So he needs to be careful. This army is not replaceable as easily. And Wham, he still has that thing we haven't seen. We haven't discovered what the horse archers are about to do. So Twitch chat, I hope for all of our sakes, those horse archers are going to shoot rockets, because at this point, I am very worried.
Now with the Boyar's fortitude in though, I mean, this army from Wham is about as strong as it can possibly be outside of Imperial Age, that is. Warrior Monk numbers are a little low, only 2, so those get sniped out quickly by MarineLorD. The Boyar's blessing is going to be completely nullified. But this is the weak point of China. We see this. The granaries are now on the way, and you can see the food income stalling a little bit from MarineLorD, and he understands this timing. He needs to be very careful here, not wanting to give away too much map control, but it looks like he has no choice, as the fight is forced by Wham. The Lancers charge directly up against the Knights, and the Archers are blocked down actually on the front line. It's a bit of a cleanup. There's very little left already here for MarineLorD, but reinforcing Lancers are actually coming in. The Horse Archers doing plenty of damage. The Warrior's Blessing comes in clutch, and the Horse Archers just can't quite melt through Lancers fast enough, actually. The Archers doing plenty of damage as well, but the Archer numbers are just anemic. MarineLorD, plenty of Lancers more on the way. Wham has virtually none left, but the Horse Archers stand strong.
Myriad, I am very confused, but at the same time, I am so pleased right now. Watching Horse Archers do all of this, it just gives me hope for the meta yet again. But at the same time, I feel like if the front line here got to that, it would have gone a little bit of a different way here. But the answer was not Horse Archers. It was 60 Horse Archers. That was the answer to finding the way through that army, and he did it perfectly. The Horse Archers just looking strong and now pushing through. MarineLorD needs to find a way to kill these, and there's not enough units to do so.
MarineLorD, his worst nightmares are coming true here in the playoffs. FC looks to be taken out 3-0 by Wham, a player that he's always had the number of so far. They've had close sets, but recently it's been a long time since Wham was able to actually beat MarineLorD in a series, and he's now doing it more convincingly than pretty much anyone has done before in the past. MarineLorD is scrambling. He has nothing, and GG is cold. Wham destroys MarineLorD 3-0 here in the playoffs and sends him to the lower bracket. Oh. It appears like we have no sound, I think, on Whammon's side. As, do let me know, chat, if you can hear me. I'm not sure.
I pressed the wrong button, guys. I'm sorry. I'm an animal. I just pressed the wrong button. We're back. So these two going to be fighting off next weekend against one another is an absolute destruction waiting to happen. MarineLorD being shot down to the loser bracket. I don't think anyone had this on their bingo card, Myriad.
I have nothing to say. If I speak, I'm in trouble. It's absolutely remarkable play here from Wham. Honestly, I mean, Wham, this is the best I have ever seen Wham play in my life, and he destroyed me plenty of times. It's very impressive. It's very, very impressive, and MarineLorD has felt the wrath here. Now, it's worth noting, of course, not to take away from Wham's victory. Naturally, he did amazingly here. You know, this is not over yet, of course. The lower brackets are there for a reason. MarineLorD is still in. He's not out yet, and, you know, quite often he does better when it matters most than when he has a chance, which is a weird dynamic, but it can make sense. But absolutely stellar games here from Wham, and he can be... I bet he's shaking right now because I didn't even play and I am.
Marianne says, after that game, after watching that, I need a smoke. Well, definitely looking forward to seeing what he has to say about this. So guys, let's hop over to that interview and see what Mr. Wham has in store for us. Wham, you did it! How does that feel? Taking on MarineLorD so convincingly. Oh, maybe Wham can't hear me.
The killer silent, as always.
Maybe that's the whole play. The deadly look. The thinking about the next game, not knowing what's happening on our side.
Oh.
Okay, Wham, can you hear me?
Me? No?
I was narrating your silence. Can you hear me?
I can, but...
I don't know if... Oh, yeah. Oh, can he? Okay. Okay. Wham. So, you took down MarineLorD 3-0. Was that the expected outcome?
You can hear me, right? No? I'm having...
Wait,
I don't know.
I can't hear... I can't hear Wham.
Like...
I can hear him.
You can hear me?
Wait,
Marianne?
you guys can? Oh, I'm the problem. Then that's a problem. Wham. This is not a... I have no idea why I can't hear you, unfortunately. But it's okay. I will ask the questions, and then we'll figure it out afterwards. So, Wham, you will answer them. I will not ask a follow-up question on that one. So, did you expect it? Just to give me one of these as well, so I can...
It could go either way, I think.
Okay. Well, we had a little bit of a tough time with the Roos situation, right? We actually had a big question mark with the horse archers. I was very confused because we haven't seen them in professional play in a while. So you believe in the horse archers. After this game, would you stick with the horse archer play, or do you think the composition would be adjusted slightly?
I would stick with them. I do think I'm quite a Roos enjoyer, for those who don't know. I really enjoy playing Roos. So even if they're not the greatest, like Civ, and they're pretty decent, like mid-tier, but I would stick with them. I think their playstyle is still pretty decent, and they're very good up against China, which is the matchup I wanted, so I was happy with that, and happy to play horse archers there.
Okay. So with this whole drafting system as well, we've been seeing a lot more civilizations slip through that maybe didn't have the chance before. But something that's still consistent is House of Lancaster and Japan. Why are people not letting it through?
Well, in the most recent patch, you saw that Pure Scouts got nerfed. That nerfs China, that nerfs Roos, that nerfs a lot of the civs that were really strong with Pure Scouts. And I think also the map pool is very, very strong for those civs currently. And yeah, I think that's pretty much my interpretation of why you're not seeing House of Lancaster, you're not seeing Japan, just because the meta has shifted a little bit. And they were already really, really good civs, right? So you buff them just a little bit, or like indirect buff, and then it just makes them bannable.
Okay, and then my last one that I would like to ask you is that how confident do you feel in taking this whole event with this recent performance of yours? I don't want you to jinx it, but do you feel like you've played this well before, or is this top Wham performance up until now?
Honestly, I can't really give you a good answer. What I can say is that I feel very good about a lot of things, so I'm just kind of, playing, at least to me, I'm playing, pretty good Wham performance, I think. Like, I think I could take it, but I have to continue playing well,
And then I just wanted to ask Myriad, if you have anything you wanted to ask Wham, go ahead. I believe Wham can hear you as well, even though your beautiful face is not on camera. So
yes, I do have a question for you, Wham. Are you the next GOAT?
No, Anatan does. Anatan, Puppy Paw, you know. I think it is interesting. I think it's cool that you are seeing, you know, some more upsets and stuff like that. I think, in general, the Age of Empires scene is just becoming so competitive. And there was a long time where it's like, oh, like, these top 8 players are kind of, you know, everyone says they're making it through, but they're not really, like... And I think now you're starting to see, like, oh, the cracks are kind of starting to appear, you know? Like, there is a lot more competition than people think.
Beautiful.
Okay. Well, guys, that was Wham, the new next goat, maybe. And we'll be heading into the break and then into our next set, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. See you guys in a second.